Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. Now, Amazon has kept us fairly busy during this pandemic and quarantine time by presenting lots of Amazon studio films, as well as other theaters that are sending movies straight to Amazon streaming. And I'm so glad that they finally discovered me and have started sending me screeners so that I can preview movies for you. Give you the heads up on whether or not you think this movie is worth your time or your money. By the way, I love Amazon. I'm an author of 31 books, and you can find all of them. I think all of them are on Amazon just by searching my name, Trina Boice. Now, the movie I'm reviewing today is called Chemical Hearts. It's rated R. It's an hour and 33 minutes, and the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is a B. It's good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And I'll tell you why I gave it the grade that I did. In a quick overview, I'll point out tips for parents, things I liked and didn't like, and talk about some themes that are worth discussing with your friends and family after you watch this movie. And there's actually quite a bit to talk about. Before I get into the review, by the way, click on the description down below and you'll get links to this movie as well as others that are similar that I recommend at the very end. They're free for you to watch, but they help support my little channel. Okay, so now this movie in a nutshell. First of all, it's a very dramatic film. It's a romance directed by Richard Tan. He also co-wrote the screenplay with the writer of the novel called Our Chemical Hearts. It's kind of a coming of age story and the drama ensues. Now, it's much darker than the typical teenage romance movie that you might be thinking it is. It offers lots of heartache to explore love and loss, among other themes. But first, some tips for parents. The movie is rated R for several very good reasons. There's a lot of profanity, including quite a few F-bombs. The language alone makes it rated R. However, there are also some scene with teenagers in bed. You don't really see skin and all of that. Um, However, you definitely know what's happening in the bed. And there's also a lesbian relationship and some kissing. And by the way, there's lots of kissing, and it almost always is awkward. There's teen drug use and smoking, and talk of vandalism, suicide, death, and you do see a girl who's just wearing nothing but her underwear in a couple of scenes. Kids will actually be introduced to romantic poetry, and I think that that's a great thing. The movie itself kind of felt like a poem, one of those reflective poems that has insights in love and loss and healing and pain and that kind of thing. I think teens will definitely enjoy this movie more than any other demographic. They'll definitely be able to relate to the heartache of being a teenager and all that goes into it. And I think most adults will just be glad that they're not teenagers again. Now, some of the themes definitely worth talking about are, first of all, the title, which refers to the hormonal chemicals that are raging in a teenager's body and brain in particular, and heart, I guess. The narrator at the beginning of the movie alludes to that. And then there are several conversations that occur between characters when love is described as a chemical process in the brain and in the body. And when lovers break up, it's like going into withdrawals. Your body was used to that steady flow of dopamine, that happiness cuddle hormone, they call it, when you're in love. And then when you lose that person, there's a physical and emotional withdrawal, and it's very painful. And love is just a very complicated thing. And I think anybody who's ever been in love will definitely be able to relate to that. There are also some serious topics worth discussing, such as PTSD. Now, I'm not talking military war PTSD, but anytime anyone goes through any type of a traumatic experience, there is some pain and some healing and some time that's required to recover from such a traumatic experience. And in fact, I just reviewed another film called Prolonged Exposure that you might want to check out. Certainly my review of it, but you might want to check out that movie because it really goes into the process of recovering from a traumatic experience. And that one's mixed in with a little mystery crime thriller. Um, the whole idea of falling in love, and especially that first love, and how it really becomes a part of you and who you are really for the rest of your life. And so I really appreciated that element rather than just, oh, young love, la la la, that there was some depth and some meat to that topic. And then other issues or topics are friendship, loneliness, and family. Now, there were plenty of things that I really liked about the movie. So let me tell you, first of all, it starts with the cast. It includes Lily Reinhart, Austin Abrams, and Sarah Jones. Of course, there are a lot of other characters, but those were kind of the meatier characters, I thought. Now, embrace the awkwardness. There are many, many awkward moments in this movie, including these three characters, specifically Austin Abrams, who's like the ultimate, awkward, nerdy teenager. Now, Lily plays a mysterious transfer student named Grace Town. And there's a little symbolism for her name also. We don't really learn why she walks with a cane until about 19 minutes into the movie. And you don't see her even smile until 38 minutes into the movie. This is a very serious drama, I'm telling you. Lily Reinhart actually admitted in a recent interview that she suffers from depression and anxiety herself, and that she has gone to see a therapist many times to help her cope. And I think teenagers, especially who are dealing with depression and anxiety, and many of them are nowadays, that this movie will offer some insights to that as well. And I'm sure that playing this role allowed Lily, the actress, to reflect on the lessons that she's learned and to dig deep into those feelings that she's felt in her own personal struggles. She was actually rejected several times when she auditioned for the role of Betty Cooper in Riverdale, but she hung in there and she obviously eventually got the part and has established a really solid fan base. And by the way, she works as an executive producer on this film. So kudos for her. The film utilizes the Japanese idea of kintsugi. It's the art of repairing broken pottery by mending the broken areas with paint mixed with gold or silver or even platinum. And the concept is that even broken things can be repaired and made into something new again, maybe even something more beautiful, because it represents the life of that entity, whether it's a broken vessel like pottery or a person. And the goal is not to make it look like nothing happened, but to see the beauty that was always there and to enhance that beauty with life's experiences. And I really love that idea. And I love that they use it in this movie. It's a little bit cliche because we have seen it done in other movies, but still, it's certainly appropriate in this movie. And it's a very effective illustration in this movie to demonstrate that how Grace was wounded and damaged and even broken physically and emotionally, but how she could become stronger because of those experiences. Henry reflects on his years in high school and in life in general, where he writes something very profound. He says, "Scars are not reminders of what's been broken, but what's been created." And so as we've all been going through this pandemic and experiencing our own upheaval in life, I think that we'll all be able to relate to some of these lessons and insights in the movie. So one of the other things that I really liked about the movie was a really nice soundtrack. The movie definitely doesn't skirt around issues of adolescence, but instead it dives headfirst into pain, loneliness, friendship, love, loss, all of the heartbreaks of the teenage soul. It's a very mature step forward when a teenager can put himself in an adult's shoes and realize that that adult too experienced those similar feelings and experiences. I know sometimes teenage movies are so dramatic because they're like, no one understands me and parents are stupid and I'm so deep and my parents have life easy. That always drives me nuts as a parent. But in this movie, there's a character arc where one of the characters realizes that maybe he judged his parents incorrectly and that he needs to give his parents some credit for having survived those teenage years and having lived through some of those bumps and bruises, and that they have lessons that they could share with him or her. I didn't want to give away who it was. Now, another thing that is interesting is that the teenagers involved in this movie refer to this crazy period between childhood, the carefree childhood that we all live, and the grown adulting, that in between phase as limbo, and how it really is an awkward time of life. Now, Grace, the main character, wears a lot of flannel and masculine clothes, and I kind of wondered why those were the choices from the costume designer, but you get to learn why later on, and it's actually pretty powerful. Now, there are some things that I didn't like, so let me tell you about those. First of all, I mentioned that there's a bedroom scene where some teenagers are going at it, and my first question is, wait a second, they're in one of the teenagers' bedrooms. Where are the parents? And they spend the night. Like, where are the parents? Don't they realize there's an extra person in the house? And what the heck? Unfortunately, there isn't really any real chemistry between Lily Reinhart and Austin Abrams, which is a shame since the movie title suggests that we're going to see and feel a lot of chemistry, right? Some people bought into it, but I just didn't feel it. So that kind of killed the romance for me. There are some acting moments that feel really forced and scripted. And of course, they're acting. And of course, the dialogue is scripted. But it just reminded me, kind of pulled me out of the movie and reminded me that I was watching a movie. I love being able to lose myself in the movie and forgetting that I'm actually watching a film. You know what I mean? The movie is full of teenage romantic tropes from typical John Green novels. However, as I mentioned, it does dive a little deeper than some of his. Now, some of his are also really good, but if you like his novels, you're definitely going to like this movie. Now, I want to share a few interesting lines with you that I thought were particularly interesting and insightful, and then I'll recommend some movies that I think that you'll like if you like this one. Grace Town, who's played by Lily Reinhart, says, adults are just scarred adults who are lucky enough to get out of limbo. And then another character says, love is a chemical reaction that comes and goes. Here's the good news. So does heartbreak. In response to that, another character says, when you're a teenager, the drugs in your brain make you make decisions that rip you from your childhood. All right, there are just a few, but you can go onto my website, moviereviewmom.com, where I list a lot more lines and there's more information there on the website. Now, to finish up, let me just recommend some movies that I think you would like if you like this movie. And click on the links down below in the description to quickly get access to those movies. And again, some of these are free, some of them you can buy the DVD, and that helps to support my channel. So the first movie is The Fault in Our Stars. Now, that's dramatic. It dives deeper into life and death situations, and there's some fun that balances out the drama. So I actually preferred that movie over this one. Another movie is Everything, Everything, where one of the teenage lovers is having serious issues, and so they've got to overcome some things together. Another movie is If I Stay, again, some life and death drama. And then another movie that teenagers liked definitely more than I did is called Paper Towns. But that movie came to my mind as I was watching this movie. Again, this movie is sad, dramatic, can be very depressing. So if you want a feel-good love story, then you need to watch maybe some old school Tom Hanks, You've Got Mail or something like that. Anyway, that's it for my review today. Thank you again for subscribing and visiting my little channel. I hope you enjoy this movie if you watch it. Stay tuned. I've got some more reviews coming out. Bye for now.